Australia, a land of extremes, of scorching deserts and lush forests, of ancient landscapes shaped by time. And here, like nowhere else on Earth, roam the masters of motion, kangaroos and wallabies. These remarkable marsupials, unique to this continent, embody survival, adaptability, and wonder. Today, we explore their biology, behavior, evolution, cultural importance, and the challenges they face in a changing world. To understand the iconic kangaroos and wallabies that bound across the Australian landscape, we must first journey back in time and understand the very foundation of their existence. What makes them marsupials? This ancient lineage of mammals diverged from our own ancestors over 160 million years ago, embarking on a unique evolutionary path that would define their survival and shape the ecosystems of an entire continent. Their story is not just one of hopping giants, but a testament to a remarkable reproductive strategy that sets them apart from the vast majority of mammals on Earth. Unlike placental mammals, like humans, dogs, or whales, which nurture their young for a long period inside the womb, marsupials give birth to tiny, underdeveloped young after a remarkably short gestation. This fragile neonate, often no bigger than a jelly bean and functionally still an embryo, embarks on a perilous, instinct-driven journey. It must crawl, unaided, from the birth canal, through its mother's fur and into the safety of a pouch. Once inside, it latches onto a teat, which swells in its mouth, securing it for the next crucial stage of its life. Here, in this warm, protective nursery, it will continue to grow and develop for weeks or even months. This evolutionary strategy, known as embryonic diapause, is a masterclass in adaptation. It allowed marsupials to thrive in environments where resources are scarce and conditions unpredictable. A mother can pause the development of an embryo in her uterus if the environment is too harsh, such as during a drought. If conditions improve, or if her older joey leaves the pouch, the suspended embryo can resume its development. This incredible biological flexibility provides a crucial advantage, ensuring the continuation of her lineage without risking her own survival. It was a perfect fit for the boom and bust cycles of ancient and modern Australia. Both kangaroos and wallabies belong to the family Macropodidae, meaning big foot, a reference to their powerful hind limbs. Despite their differences, kangaroos and wallabies share powerful hind legs, long tails for balance, and an unmistakable gait. The kangaroo's hop is one of the most efficient forms of locomotion in the animal kingdom. Unlike running, hopping uses a spring-like action. Elastic tendons in the legs stretch recoil with each bound, conserving energy. At high speeds, 70 km/h, 43 mph, this mechanism becomes even more economical. As they accelerate, their tails act as stabilizers almost like a fifth limb. Kangaroos are highly social animals. They gather in groups called mobs, loose assemblies that travel graze and watch for danger together. Within the mob, males may engage in ritualized fights, using their thick tails as props and powerful legs to deliver punishing kicks. Wallabies tend to be more solitary, but still exhibit fascinating communication, from foot thumping to scent marking. Kangaroos and wallabies are predominantly herbivores. They nibble grasses, shrubs, leaves, and herbs, adapting diet based on habitat. Red kangaroos thrive in arid plains. Wallabies thrive in forests and rocky regions. Their grazing impacts landscapes, shaping vegetation patterns and interacting with other species. Reproduction reveals the miracle of marsupial life. After a brief gestation of about 1 month, a tiny joey no bigger than a jelly bean emerges. It instinctively crawls into its mother's pouch, where it latches onto a teat and continues developing for months. Some kangaroos can pause the development of an embryo, a process called embryonic diapause, a brilliant adaptation to unpredictable environments. To indigenous Australians, kangaroos hold deep spiritual meaning, appearing in art songlines' creation stories. Today, the kangaroo's image is synonymous with Australia, on the national coat of arms, on coins, and in global recognition. Yet cultural significance brings responsibility. How we manage, protect, and coexist with wildlife matters. The kangaroo is an undeniable icon of Australia, a powerful symbol of the nation's unique wildlife, emblazoned on everything from currency to the national coat of arms. This celebrated status, however, often clashes with the complex and sometimes contentious realities of sharing the land. For millennia, Indigenous Australians have depicted the kangaroo in their art and stories, representing a deep cultural and spiritual connection. In modern times, this imagery has been adopted and adapted, becoming a ubiquitous symbol in popular culture and a major draw for tourism. But beyond the symbols, real kangaroos are increasingly venturing into human-dominated landscapes. As cities and towns expand, the line between the wild and the suburban blurs, leading to more frequent encounters right in our own backyards. This proximity inevitably leads to friction, where the needs of kangaroos come into direct conflict with human activities. This is especially pronounced in rural and agricultural areas, where livelihoods depend on the land. The primary point of contention is agriculture. Kangaroos are herbivores, and large mobs can consume significant amounts of pasture, particularly during dry seasons when resources are scarce. This can lead to overgrazing, degrading the land, and reducing its capacity to support livestock. They directly compete with sheep and cattle for food and water, putting economic pressure on farmers and pastoralists who see them as pests that threaten their operations. Another major area of conflict occurs on our roads. Kangaroos are most active at dawn and dusk, times when driver visibility is low. Their unpredictable movements make them a serious hazard, resulting in thousands of vehicle collisions each year, causing property damage, human injury, and animal death. Addressing these conflicts requires careful management, but policies vary widely across states and territories. Strategies often involve population control through regulated culling programs, which are informed by extensive population surveys to ensure sustainability. Alongside population management, efforts are made toward habitat protection and restoration, creating dedicated spaces for wildlife away from agricultural lands. These measures are complemented by strict hunting regulations to provide insurance against overhunting and protect the species' long-term viability. Conservationists and scientists advocate for holistic, evidence-based strategies. They argue for an approach that moves beyond simple conflict and seeks to understand the complex ecological dynamics at play, balancing the health of the ecosystem with legitimate human needs. Ultimately, the goal is to find a sustainable path toward coexistence. This means creating safer roads through wildlife crossings and driver education, fostering more resilient farms with innovative land management practices, and ensuring the persistence of healthy, thriving kangaroo populations for generations to come. It's a delicate balancing act, central to Australia's identity. Though kangaroos are abundant, with some species numbering in the tens of millions, this picture of plenty doesn't tell the whole story. The iconic image of vast plains teeming with kangaroos is a reality for species like the eastern and western greys and the red kangaroo. Their adaptability has allowed them to thrive, sometimes even benefiting from the changes humans have made to the landscape, like the creation of open pasture land and artificial water sources. In many areas, particularly across the great swathes of the interior and eastern grasslands, their populations are stable and healthy. But this broad success masks a more fragile and complex situation for many of their smaller relatives. for the macropod family is incredibly diverse, and some wallaby species are vulnerable or critically endangered. Many of these species are specialists, adapted to very specific habitats like dense forests, rocky outcrops, or remote islands. This specialization, once their strength, now makes them incredibly susceptible to environmental changes. The Proserpine rock wallaby, the bridled nailtail wallaby, these are just a few of the names on a growing list of species fighting for survival. For these vulnerable populations, pressures mount on multiple fronts, creating a perfect storm of threats. Their homes are disappearing at an alarming rate, with vital habitat cleared for farms and ever-expanding suburbs that push deeper into the bush. On top of this, they face intense competition and predation from introduced species. Feral goats and deer strip the undergrowth of food and shelter, while invasive predators like foxes and feral cats, which hunt with a deadly efficiency that native animals are not equipped to handle, take a devastating toll, especially on the young. Compounding all these threats is the overarching challenge of climate change, which is intensifying droughts and lengthening the fire seasons, turning what was once a regenerative force into a destructive one. These combined forces fragment landscapes into isolated islands of bush. They not only reduce the availability of food and shelter, but critically, they also isolate small populations, cutting them off from one another. This genetic isolation makes them more susceptible to disease and inbreeding, pushing them closer to the brink. But in the face of these immense challenges, conservation answers with action. Across the country, a dedicated network of scientists, land managers, and volunteers are fighting back. Their efforts begin with large-scale habitat restoration, replanting native trees and shrubs to heal the scarred land. Crucially, this includes projects focused on habitat reconnection, creating vital wildlife corridors that act as green highways, allowing animals to move safely between fragmented patches of bushland. This is coupled with targeted feral control programs, which are essential for giving native species a fighting chance to recover. For the most threatened species, emergency interventions like captive breeding programs provide a critical lifeline, creating insurance populations away from immediate threats. These programs culminate in carefully planned rewilding efforts, returning animals to protected, predator-free landscapes and re-establishing populations for species at the greatest risk. Success, however, isn't just about science, it's about people. Community education is key to turning conflict into coexistence, supporting simple but effective measures like road awareness campaigns, and promoting innovations like water-smart fencing on farms that allows wildlife access to water while managing livestock. It also means embracing and supporting indigenous land stewardship, drawing on millennia of traditional ecological knowledge to manage the land in a way that benefits both people and wildlife. The ultimate goal is a future of safer roads, more resilient farms, and healthy, thriving macropod populations of all species, living and moving freely within a vast, connected living country. What lies ahead for kangaroos and wallabies? Their story is intertwined with Australia's ever-adapting, ever-resilient. Scientists study them as climate indicators. Indigenous knowledge enriches scientific understanding, and people around the world remain captivated. Their future depends on sustainable choices, policy, personal awareness. Choose connection over fragmentation. The next chapter is ours to write. Kangaroos and wallabies are more than icons. They are evolutionary triumphs. They hop between worlds. Ancient, modern, wild, human-shaped biological wonder cultural emblem. To understand them is to glimpse the spirit of a continent that has shaped them and continues to shape their destiny. Join us again as we explore the wild heartbeats of our planet and the stories that connect us all. These remarkable animals have survived for millions of years, but their future now depends on us. Like this video, subscribe, and stay with us as we continue to explore, protect, and celebrate the wild places and creatures that still remain.